I have caught a mobile game stealing from me, and I can prove it. I know mobile games are a pretty big thing these days, especially with everyone having phones in their pockets, and there just seems like there's all kinds of new mobile games released all the time, whether you hear about them or not. A lot of these end up having a lot of players. I personally don't really play a whole lot of mobile games, so I don't keep up on this a whole lot. But this particular one was only brought to my attention because of them stealing from me. And huge shouts to the people who did message me about this, just be like, hey man, did you see this? And it's, yes, I did, but thank you to everyone who did try to help point this out to me. So the game in question is available on Google Play, and I assume the Apple Play Store as well. It's called Legends Reborn Last Battle. And looking into it, it just looks like kind of your typical idle fantasy RPG where your guys just kind of fight for you. You don't really do a whole lot. You know, one of those games. I did manage to find actual gameplay of it, courtesy of the YouTube user FantomenK. So yeah, looks like you just kind of, you get different heroes with different star ratings or whatever, and they come in and use special moves, and then you win a bunch of stuff. Whatever, who cares? That's not the important part. What is important is how they've been advertising this particular game. And again, this was only brought to my attention thanks to people messaging me over on my Instagram account, ProJared. Again, thank you to everyone who did that and emailed me. This is on their official Instagram account. And on Instagram, it's called Magnum Quest. We'll get into why on that is in a moment. But this is kind of all their posts. It's like new version available, some holiday events, maybe get some free stuff, some big booba fantasy women. However, they did put out what I believe was a video or story advertising their game. And this is what that advertisement looked like. That's Final Fantasy III. Behold, a wondrous adventure awaits thee, and they're just showing footage of Final Fantasy III. Oh wait, that's mine. This isn't just any Final Fantasy III footage, this is my Final Fantasy III footage. It's pretty easy to prove if you didn't catch it right away. All the character names from there are the exact same character names that I used in my videos, both in the Final Fantasy III review video that's on this channel, and I did a recorded gameplay series of this entire game over on my gameplay channel. And this is all just footage from that. Who else names their characters ProJared, Joof, and Ian? Now, more importantly, you also notice that this is Final Fantasy III footage, but for just like half a second in there, you can actually see just a brief snippet of footage from Final Fantasy I. Yeah, right there. That screen does not appear in Final Fantasy III at all, so it would be weird if they were just trying to look for Final Fantasy III footage and throw it into their advertisement video. And that's because they didn't just grab random Final Fantasy III gameplay and then did some fun edits and all that to make their advertisement video. That's my Final Fantasy III video. Those edits are mine, and they just threw it up onto their account. And again, I can easily prove this. This is my Final Fantasy III video.
Members. So we're bringing them back. Our heroes
including
are once
me
again
naming them
ProJared, Joof, and Ian.
This is making me watch my own videos, which is so cringe. And it starts right there. Like, that's my actual gameplay footage. Right into this. They certainly cut some things out and sped things along, that's for sure, but everything here is basically step for step my footage.
After making their way through the cave and killing a turtle,
complete with the land turtle fight, going in here with the crystal. This is my footage. Like, literally, when I gave them the job showing them dancing, complete with my own zoom into the monk, and doing a 2010s era YouTube edit of just keyframes shaking around the footage a lot. Clearly, cut out some segments, somewhere in the middle, and kind of sped things along, like put it all in double speed basically to make it a little more... The whole thing's double speed, just to make it a little more exciting and all that. But that's my footage. Basically frame to frame. Now it's at this point that I feel compelled to say that I have nothing to do with this game. They did not ask me for permission to use this footage. I do not endorse this game. I've never heard of it before. I've never had contact with them whatsoever. They just took my footage to try to advertise their own game. So this is me saying, I don't know what this is or what this is about, and I have nothing to do about it. And I think that's probably the biggest problem with this, is that not only they just took my footage blatantly and didn't even try to hide it. I don't want people to think that I somehow okayed this or allowed it, because I didn't. And therein lies the problem. People could see this and think it's some sort of a weird endorsement of the game when I'm not. Even worse is, obviously, this has nothing to do with their actual game that looks like this. So why did they show Final Fantasy III video? Now again, this came from their Instagram account that is labeled Magnum Quest, which is the Legends Reborn Last Battle, which is what it's called now. It's the exact same game. This just gone through, based on my research, several rebranding. It had Magnum Quest, and then they ended that game, and then just relaunched it again. Basically the exact same thing, calling it Magnum Quest 2, until the end of service to that game, and then relaunched it again in its current form, Legends Reborn Last Battle. I don't know exactly for sure how long ago that was, but 3 different games, all the same one, and they're still using my footage to basically advertise that. Now, I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say, maybe this was a harmless mistake. Maybe there was just, maybe they have a social media manager for their Instagram account that just wanted to do something and needed to get a post out and they didn't know what else to do, so they just threw up some, whatever, in their mind, generic fantasy game gameplay to throw up onto their account and have people see it. So this could be a small, isolated incident that was just only on Instagram and, harmless mistake. So anyway, here's it doing the exact same thing over on their Facebook page. The worst part about this is that I had to create a Facebook account just so I could look at this, so that's probably the most egregious pain they've caused me. At least some of the comments have kind of noticed this. This is literally Final Fantasy III for the NES. The game looks nothing like this. Literally Final Fantasy. Looks like Final Fantasy 2. I could be wrong, but def a Final Fantasy game. I hope ProJared sees this and sues you. Way ahead of you, buddy. So this is a lot of very weird false advertising on multiple fronts. 1, I have nothing to do with it. 2, nothing like Final Fantasy 3. And 3, they definitely didn't get permission from Square Enix to use their game to promote their game. There's so many layers of wrong here that I don't even really know how to broach this and really explain all the problems, or even go to, say, Google or Apple Play and say, hey, this isn't right. Now again, maybe this was an isolated incident, and maybe they just, again, have someone on their social media team that happened to be a big fan of mine or something, and they just really liked my videos and they wanted to show a little bit of love and support or something, and they didn't know what else to do. That could be the case. That'd be neat. We'll say probably not. But more importantly, I want to show you this. We're going to go back to the Google Play page for it, and we're going to go down to the reviews. Currently, this game has a rating of 3.9 out of 5 stars after 77,500 views. So if you can look at all the reviews, though, and then go to some of the newest ones, this is where we start to see more issues. Obviously, there's going to be some people in here who freezes and crashes, keep on getting disconnected, can't download the update, etc., etc. So people having technical issues, so they retaliate by giving it a low review. And you can see here that the company behind this, Ace Game International Limited, frequently responds to these people saying, dear player, we are sorry that you've encountered such a problem in the game. Can you contact us through the game's customer service, which will help us to get your equipment and other blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they're actually kind of prompt at responding to people and trying to, smooth things out, and doing all that. But looking into these reviews, some of these recent ones, that's where we see more of a problem, and this establishes a repeated pattern of them stealing footage to falsely advertise their game. I will always leave a 1-star review for false advertising. I was led here by an ad that showed gameplay of Final Fantasy 1, trying to play on the nostalgia value of a game that this one clearly has nothing to do with. 1 star. I mean, it was Final Fantasy 3, but, there's a lot of similarities between them, so I can't really fault the guy there. Gameplay didn't even come close to ad play. Not even as good as the graphics shown in video to garbage instead. Another scamming game trash. Dear Redeemer, thank you for your valuable feedback. If you have any other feedback, suggestions, blah, 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 Frustrating experience with false advertising. This game is an absolute disappointment. They run ads promising codes, but none of them work. It feels like a blatant bait and switch tactic to lure players in. To make matters worse, the customer service is abysmal, non-responsive, and unhelpful. What's even more infuriating is that the developers don't allow players to leave feedback on the forum, completely shutting down any chance for constructive criticism. Dear Redeemer, thank you for your valuable feedback. Blah, 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 blah. It's meh. And then we come across this review, which was only a week or two before the Final Fantasy III footage was used. The ad made it look like Eye of the Beholder, but it's nothing like that. I wouldn't have downloaded it if the screenshots had been honest, as in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Eye of the Beholder. A classic DOS game from the late 80s was also ported to the Super Nintendo in 1993. So just for the record, this is what the gameplay of Eye of the Beholder looks like. This is the Super Nintendo version, and I'm showing the footage here from one of my favorite YouTube channels, SNES Drunk. Huh, okay. So maybe they're using the gameplay of not just my Final Fantasy III review, but several other games. But again, maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe they're just, screwing up real bad somehow. Ripping off Shining Force for their Facebook ads. Deceptive ads use stolen gameplay videos from the old game Shining Force. If they lied to get players, what will they do to players once they have them? Does Sega know that you're using video footage from Shining Force 2 for your ads? Oops, they do now. Used an old Sega game for FB ad. For fucking shame on you. False advertising. Please use your own game for advertising. This is gameplay from Little Nightmares series, which without even looking at the game, I won't be downloading it. Do better. Dear Redeemer, thank you for your valuable feedback. If you have any other feedback or suggestions, in an ad, I saw Luffy and his crew, and you could get them when you sign in, so I downloaded the game but saw no One Piece characters. Fake advertisement I uninstalled after finding out. So not only were they using other video games to advertise their crappy mobile game, they also started using just whatever they wanted. In this case, apparently, they used One Piece, which, when any mobile game uses other IPs in their advertisements, it's natural to believe that, there's some sort of crossover event. I can get my favorite characters from whatever franchise in this mobile game. That'd be kind of neat. But you know what? That stuff works. You know what else I just noticed back on the original video post is that we're right next to where it says play game. Next to it, it says, embark on a D&D quest anytime, anywhere. So once again, using another property to try to sell their game. Speaking of other properties, what if they just used stuff that had nothing to do with fantasy medieval adventure? Such as, is it just me or do they change the name of this game every couple of years to get new players? The ad for it was also a bunch of MCU characters for some reason. Lol, 2 stars for the bait and switch. Where's that post? I want to see them trying to use Marvel to sell their game. Imagine coming across this of a idle battler where you can have like wizards and mages and barbarians and stuff next to Iron Man and I don't know, Moon Knight. What this is establishing is that this was not an isolated incident of them trying to use another game to try to sell theirs, whether it's using my footage or using other IPs. They're doing this repeatedly. Not only that, they're shutting their game down multiple times and then relaunching it as, from what I can tell, fundamentally the exact same game, just under a different name. And I wonder if they're doing that, is it to possibly to get new players? Or it's because their old game somehow got in trouble, and to get around and circumvent having to deal with that, they just quote unquote made a new one. I saw the ad with Marvel characters, so I downloaded the game. It's clearly a lie. Hopefully they'll get sued and go out of business. Every time someone points out their fake ads, they just say thanks for the feedback. Scummy company, stay far away, see their response for proof. Dear Redeemer, thank you for your valuable feedback. If you have any other feedback or suggestion, please feel free to contact us. Where's Deadpool and Wolverine? That's the main reason I downloaded it, because it showed that you could get them and they looked awesome. Fake ads, I hate you. And that's all that I just found from going backwards about 6 months or so through reviews. So who knows how long they've actually been doing this. It could be longer. So yeah, hopefully I've demonstrated that they've clearly stolen footage from my Final Fantasy III video, which, that's not hard to debate there, but more importantly, they've been doing this repeatedly with other games, and not just with other games, but any properties they could do, like One Piece or even Marvel. And yet, after all of that, shockingly, they still have a rating of a 3.9 out of 5. That still seems pretty high, despite a lot of people seeing that they're just falsely advertising their game over and over again. But the big thing, which again, I'm going to state very clearly here, I have nothing to do with, I do not endorse this game, nor did I give them permission to take my video, nor have they contacted me at all in any way. I found out the same way other people found out when I saw this advertisement, and thanks to the people who did message me on Instagram about it. And that's my biggest personal struggle, is that I don't want people thinking I'm associated with this, and I'm trying to make it very, very clear that I am not. So what do I do from here? I don't know. I guess I could try contacting them at legendscs@aceplaying.com, being like, hey, you stole my footage, take it down. And people have taken notice. There are a couple comments basically saying, you stole this footage from ProJared. I realize bringing all of this up, I'm essentially throwing a pebble at a tidal wave, because there's just so many of these, and there's so many examples of these kinds of mobile games that are doing predatory practices to steal and con money out of people. But it's important for me to make you all aware of this, that I had nothing to do with it, and they're probably going to keep going around and stealing footage from other games to advertise theirs, because consequences be damned, because there probably won't be any. And I guess the last thing I can do to all of you, as someone who makes it a point to try to review RPG games, I will say, don't play this one.